Okay, it's recording. Hi, ladies. Thank you for tuning in. Welcome to the Tell Your Truth, Own Your Identity interview series. Today, we are with Felicia Wright. She is our first interviewer. She's here to share her story of truth and identity with us. So without further ado, this is Felicia. Feel free to tell us about who you are.
Hi, everyone. Thank you again, Ashley, for the opportunity. I appreciate it. Again, my name is Felicia Wright, and I'm living in Jacksonville, Florida. I am from Florida, so I'm a Floridian, so I don't do the cold weather. But I'm also a military spouse. My husband actually just retired from the Navy last year. We've been married, it'll be 18 years this December. We have a 7-year-old daughter who will actually be 8 next month. I am also what I consider I call myself a mompreneur. So I'm an entrepreneur. I've been an entrepreneur for almost 15 years now, actually. I worked in corporate America for about 10 years before I transitioned to being an entrepreneur. And when I first started out, I was basically focusing on graphic design services because that's actually my background. I have a bachelor's in graphic design and also a MBA with the concentration in marketing. So I was providing services for small businesses, corporations, various things from designing logos to newsletters to helping, really trying to help small businesses create their brand and what that looks like visually, and how it translated to them, getting clients and getting customers. And within, I would say, maybe the last 4 years, I decided to branch out and I started my own product line. And I'm really big, being a woman of color, I'm really, really big on working with other small owned Black businesses, and especially women owned and mom owned. And so one of the things that I wanted to do, and especially I think my daughter kind of initiated it or kind of pushed me to do this as well after having her. I wanted to be able to give back in a way and do something with my design skills. And I always say I don't just like to design pretty pictures. I wanted to do something that was more impactful. So with that, I launched my product line, and it's specifically for women and girls of color, inspirational products. We have various things from bags to cups, mugs, different things of that nature. And so I designed a couple of different designs with natural hair. And I don't know, you guys may not be able to see it just because of how the camera is set up behind me, but those are one of my main images. And actually my chair is in the way, I'm moving out, you still can't see it, but anyway, we'll send you a link or something to that. But I designed I wanted to design something that and do something that was inspirational to me and be able to motivate, other individuals that look like me, because I did go through a transition, and I'm sure we'll talk a little bit more about this in the interview, where I didn't feel, as confident in myself. And I didn't want my daughter to go through those things, especially, because just based on the color of her skin or the texture of her hair. So that's kind of how the product line started. I also have a signature event that I hold every year. We just had it earlier this year, or excuse me, earlier this month, called Curls and Convo, where we instill the value of confidence in women and girls of color, regardless of their hair texture or their skin complexion. And so that's a little bit about me. I probably gave you a whole bunch of stuff in like 2 minutes, but that's a little bit about me.
You and your background. I really love that you have like a brand, and then that you're dedicating yourself to create images for Black women and inspire them,
Right.
because
Yes.
that's the whole point of this docu-series, is to really just, give a space for everyone to tell their story and just share.
Right.
I really like to know, and being a mompreneur and just in your journey, how do you feel like that has played into your identity as a woman or as a Black woman?
Yeah, it's definitely played a big part. Some positive experiences and some negative, or shouldn't say negative, maybe challenging experiences. But I know for me, before I had my daughter, I knew that I wanted to start my own business. So I kind of, transitioned to doing that after working 10 years in corporate. I knew when I thought about, having kids and having a family, I wanted to be able to have more time to spend with her. Because I, wanted us to have a good relationship and me to be able to do things with her and be, a support system to her whenever she needed it. And so with that, and with starting the business, I think what has helped me is having your own business. It kind of gives you that flexibility, to create your own schedule and still do things that you love to do, but still be able to have that time with your family. And, of course, with my husband as well as my daughter, and because she's coming up on spring break here in a week. So, we're able to spend time with her and do things with her and take a trip, and not just the spending the time, but that quality time, and knowing that I'm able to go to the school, maybe chaperone a field trip, or um, she has like a Black History performance that she has to do next Tuesday. So being able to do those things, and I know for me, it means a lot to be able to, bring in things financially to our home, but also have that flexibility and that the opportunity to be able to spend time with her. Because I know she's only going to be this age, for so long, and I want to be able to create those memories and instill, different things, different values, and things within her. So that means a lot to me, as far as being an entrepreneur.
I love it because the more you spend time with her, the more you can kind of be that example
Right.
for no
Exactly.
for those relationships. And what
Exactly.
like you show your daughter how to be herself confidently,
Mhm.
own who she is.
Right. And I know I always have conversations with her. And of course, she goes with me to various things. Like she went to the event that we had earlier this month. Sometimes when I'm vending, she'll go with me to different things. And I try to always tell her, sometimes it's during the time when maybe I'm doing her hair, we'll have conversations about school or how she feels about herself. And I try to tell her to, because sometimes kids are mean or kids say certain things to you, and to try not to let that bother her if she knows who she is, and, she's not, the person that they're saying that she is, to kind of believe in herself. And of course, it's still kind of a learning curve because she's still young. Sometimes she doesn't, understand it. And she's just like, why are people being mean, or why are people saying these things? But I just try to be, I guess, consistent with what I'm telling her. And hopefully she'll get to the point where it's not like she's just relying on me to say these positive things, or her dad, or maybe even mentors, but she believes that for herself. And that's what I try to promote, that she gets to the point where she knows that for herself, that she's confident in herself and she can do whatever, whatever it is that she puts her mind to it, regardless of the negative noise that may be around her.
Yes, absolutely. I think those are like the most important times as
Mhm.
we're children, and just being able to learn how to combat the outside noise and really like
Exactly.
own and be confident in who you are.
Right.
As you've gone through your process and just becoming a woman, how have you learned how to become as confident as you are today, so that way you can be an example for your daughter?
Yeah, and it's so funny, when I was reading some of the questions that that we were going to talk about, during the interview or what have you. 'Cause I recently just posted something, and I don't know if this is ironic or maybe it's just, my way of also helping others and being transparent. I push confidence, and I really believe that, you have to have that positive mindset, because there's so much, negativity and negative people in the world, that you have to have that push to keep you going and get you through. But I can say that I am not always confident. Even now as an adult, I have some good days, I have some bad days, and sometimes it's situational. Something may have happened and it's kind of thrown me off. But what I'm trying to do more and more, I guess, as I get older, and as I try to, mentor other moms or other women or other young girls, is to get to that place where I know who I am. I know that I'm not perfect, but I know that, I'm confident in my abilities and the things that I can do, and to not allow, the negativity or negative people to, I guess, deter me, from what I'm trying to do, or tell me who I am.
Hmm.
I think I posted something the other day that, I'm not always confident, in myself, but what I'm trying to do more and more is to find that inner peace and be okay with who I am, regardless of what, somebody says I am, or they think I'm this way, or, the negativity. So I think you can be confident, but I think you also, there's times where you have those challenging times, or those moments where you're like, you kind of second guess yourself,
Yeah.
and I think that's just normal. But overall, I think if you have that positive mindset and that confidence in you, it'll help you get through those times.
I definitely love that you acknowledge that, like, sometimes you're not always confident because
Right.
we can have our periods where we're feeling like we're the best
Hmm.
and then when we're feeling really low. So in those times, how do you really, like, if you're really low, how do you pick yourself up? Or is it just something that you just, like, I know you mentioned inner peace. How do you find that inner
Hmm.
peace when you're feeling low about yourself?
Yeah, and to be honest, it's still I'm still a work in progress. I'll be honest with you. I think what I try to do sometimes is, sometimes I guess I allow myself to be in that space for a minute, but I try not to dwell there, too long. Just allow myself to be in that space, maybe, shut everything down, or shut the negative noise down, and then kind of regroup, so to speak. Sometimes I'll do, meditation or yoga or something to that effect. Of course, I will pray about it and just try to find ways, to get through it. But sometimes it doesn't happen overnight. Sometimes it may be a couple of days or a week or so. But I try to just not dwell, in that state of mind. And sometimes it gets tricky, it gets hard, and it gets challenging, and it depends on maybe what that situation was or what I'm going through. And also, it's good to have a good support system around you as well, to kind of help you, go through some of those things that you may be going through, where you don't feel as confident or like you can do something.
Yes, I love that you mentioned that. It's all about self-care and making sure we
Mhm.
give ourselves, positivity even when we don't feel good.
Right.
Having a support system, how do you feel like who's in your corner? Who do you feel like is always there to lift you up even when you don't feel like, getting out of bed or, just
Right.
feeling confident?
Yeah, I have a couple of good friends that I've been friends with forever, and although we don't talk every day, I know that I can call them when something's going on. I can talk to my husband, pretty much about anything. And I think sometimes too, for me, I have people that I go to because I know they understand certain things,
Yeah.
or maybe, it might, depending on maybe what that situation is. Because all of my friends don't have businesses, and all of them, aren't married with kids. So depending on what I'm going through, I will reach out to them and, talk to them about things, just to get, I guess, their perspective. And sometimes it's good just to talk about it out loud. Am I crazy? Like, this is what happened. I don't really know if I should do this or not. And sometimes it's me kind of trying to, I guess, calm myself down, so I'm not, because sometimes if we go off of emotion, then it can kind of go left.
Yeah.
So in that sense, having really good friends that I've been friends with, like, over, I would say, over 20 years, since college, and of course my husband. And sometimes I have to, like, pray about it, to, I guess, in a sense, because I know that sometimes I've been in a place where I'm trying to fix the situation, and sometimes things aren't fixable. So to pray about it and just be at peace with it, to just let it go, and not, like I said before, not let it dwell in me, that I can't, function or do something, and I'm just, upset about the situation, and now it's spilling over into other things. And it doesn't happen overnight, and sometimes, and like I said earlier, I'm a work in progress. So sometimes it's easy to get through certain things, and then other times I'm kind of like, because you have all these other things going on. So sometimes it could be like a domino effect, depending on where you're at, in your life, or what's going on. So
Sometimes you just gotta let
yeah.
go and just
Yeah.
get through
Exactly.
it.
Exactly.
I know you mentioned, you said, when you were telling us about who you are, you said you went through a transitional period. Could you speak a little bit
Hmm.
about what that experience was?
Yes. At growing up, I always felt like, and I think I mentioned this when I submitted some information to you,
Mhm.
but growing up, I always felt like I didn't necessarily fit in, one space or another, and that can be hard, on a child or someone young. Um, I grew up in a small town, but there was, I would say, it was probably maybe 60-40, like 60 black, 40 white in the school that I went to. And although there was some like kind of right down the street from where my grandmother lived there in her area, all the schools they were predominantly black. But because of, I don't know if it's how I was raised, like I remember looking at a picture the other day from when I was in pre-K, and I was like the only black child in the classroom. Um, and during those times, I don't necessarily remember being bullied or looked at or anything like at that time, but I would always I guess I was conscious of it because of things my dad would tell me, that he was in HR, that he would tell me on his job. And then of course my grandmother would always tell me, kind of how she was treated when she was growing up and things like that. So I was aware of it, but at the time it wasn't necessarily happening to me personally. So I knew, that certain things existed or what have you. But from where I stood, I didn't necessarily feel like I fit in either with, the black kids or the white kids. With the white kids, because they just looked at me and I was, I looked different from them because of the color of my skin. Like I remember high school, I took a couple of honor roll classes and I was either like the only black girl in there, or there was like a couple of other, black kids, but very, very few. So I would just get, strange looks like I didn't belong, basically.
Oh, wow.
And then on the other end with the black kids, and most of my friends at that time growing up, they were all, it was, all black girls. But every now and then I would get remarks like, because I'm talking properly, or I'm talking white, or either my facial features I wasn't black enough,
Yeah.
basically. So it's like I felt like I didn't necessarily fit in either way. And that on that side of the spectrum, that really bothered me for a really long time, because I'm just like, I don't understand. Like, if I'm, using proper English, I'm not understanding why, you would say that I'm acting white. And for me, it made me feel like if somebody said I was acting white, like I was disowning who I was. And that was not the case at all. So I kind of went through that, transitional period. And then I would, I made good grades, but then I was always told, okay, if you make A minus, then it needed to be an A plus. So I always felt like I wasn't good enough. So I was always trying to like do better in everything. And so I kind of went through that whole thing. And that, as a child, and of course, even now today, that kind of still saves me a little bit sometimes. And then just trying to figure out, who I am. And to be honest, I think I know more of who I am, but I feel like I'm still learning, every day, because I think as you get older and as you grow, you change. So I'm kind of still going through the process, but I have gotten to the point where I feel better about like who I am and the things that I can do. And even if I am doing everything that I'm supposed to do and I'm treating people right, I know that people will still talk about you. They'll still be negative.
That's
So
true.
it's almost like that doesn't matter whether you said something or did something, you know what I mean? Did something to them. So I'm learning that part of it. So for me, it's like I just try to keep going and try to do the things that I'm supposed to do, that to achieve my goals and take care of my family, and be, the best person that I can be, and not worry about, who somebody else thinks I should be or their perception of me. And like I said, it's a daily occurrence, me constantly trying to be in that state of mind. So
Yeah,
yeah.
totally understand. I grew up in like a predominantly white area and just trying to feel like I'm trying to fit in, but then
Right,
I go to
right.
people I'm not good enough. So at what
Mhm.
period in your life were you just like, you know what, enough's enough. I'm tired of trying to fit in. I'm just gonna do
Right.
my own thing.
Right. I think it may have kind of shifted when I went to college. Um, and I went to college here. I'm in Jacksonville, Florida. So I went to UNF, and I guess it was a mixture. But then when you go to college, what changes too is they have different organizations.
Yeah.
So like I was part of the I think it was like the AASU, the African American Student Union, I think was the name of it. So I was around, people that looked like me, and had people in my classes and things like that. So I think that's kind of where a shift happened for me. And then going back to what I said earlier, just understanding that, you know, no matter what you do, there's, I don't know, there's just gonna be haters. That's the best way for me to explain it.
For
It's like,
real.
even if you're staying on course and you're trying to be nice to people and you're trying to do right by people, people will still just not like you just because somebody else does. You know what I mean? So it's like I have to just keep doing what I feel is right for me, you know, for my family, at the end of the day, because there's just always going to be somebody who has something to say. Like, you can't please everybody. And I think I might have been um, in that mindset because I don't really like, you know, conflict or confrontation. Not necessarily that I want everybody to like me, but it's like I always felt like, okay, if I do right by you and I'm nice to you, then I'm going to get that back, which you know, soon found out that's not the case. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
I agree. Sometimes I tend to myself be a people pleaser, trying to,
Mm-hmm.
be good enough for everybody.
Right.
In that journey of just trying to be good enough for yourself, what is one thing that you learned that kind of sticks with you throughout your life as you continue to grow?
Um, I think lately what I've been learning is sometimes I'll do something, whether it's, you know, through my business or giving back or something. And I just want, maybe if I'm looking for somebody to acknowledge, you know, that that happened, or that was really good that you did that. I don't always get that. But what I can appreciate, what I'm learning more and more is to continue to do what, you know, I feel is right, and to set my goals and, you know, follow my dreams and do the different things that I want to do. But what I've been slowly finding out is, and I guess maybe it's with the social media or what have you, like sometimes I'll just randomly have people come to me, or maybe they'll see me out in public, and we've never really met, just they follow my page or what have you. And they'll say something like, you know, thank you for that, like that inspirational post that you did, or I saw something that you and your daughter did. And so those little things like that, not even so much that they're acknowledging me, but maybe through my journey and the things that, you know, I go through sometimes, or inspirational posts that I put out that I put for me as well, that now I'm helping somebody else. And that I think really means a lot to me, because I do want to um, be in a position where I'm able to help others, which is why I really love what you're doing, because maybe my story will resonate with somebody, and, you know, that will help them get through something that they're going through, or encourage them in some way.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate you just using, like, being, it's almost like I hear it's like a saying, it's like, I go through something so you don't have to. So
Right,
I love that
right.
you're using your experiences and just sharing them to inspire other women.
Mhm.
What would you say to that little girl or that young lady who is going through something similar, or maybe struggling with just being good enough, how they should kind of persevere?
Yeah. And that's always it's, and I can't say that it's necessarily a tricky thing, but sometimes it's hard. Like, I would encourage them to, you know, stay on their course and be consistent in what they're doing, and just keep going, and try to block out the negativity, the negative noise. Sometimes that's easier said than done.
Mhm.
But I know for me, what has happened is sometimes I've had to go through some tough things or some challenging things to get to this place, you know, to kind of make me stronger, or make me more mindful, or by sharing my story, hopefully help someone else.
Yeah,
So just encourage them to, you know, continue to keep going, to be consistent, because you don't know, you may help somebody else, you know, that may be going through something similar to you, and by you helping them, you know, that may help you get through whatever you need to go through. And having some type of support system, whether it's your friends or a mentor, or you know, whatever it is, having that support system to kind of get you through. But just, you know, staying on course and being confident that, yes, maybe this was a stumbling block, but this is not the end of the road. Like, I can still keep going to
yeah,
my journey.
I love
Yes.
it. I love it. In what way, because we're talking about owning your identity,
hmm
in what way today do you feel like you own your identity?
I feel like I've owned my identity today by just kind of, I guess, being transparent and sharing some of the things that I've gone through. Like I said at the beginning, I know that I'm not perfect. I try to do, right by people and try to help people and use my talents and my skills to inspire, especially women and girls of color. But I feel like I'm owning my identity by just kind of telling you all the different layers that I have, if you will, to my life and who I am, and that helps me tremendously, and hopefully it'll help someone else as well who's listening.
Yes, well, thank you so much for being
You're
vulnerable,
welcome.
for sharing your story. I have no doubt that this will definitely resonate with a lot of people. So
Yes, you
I
are so
appreciate
welcome.
it. Well, if you want to drop your handles, your social media,
Yes.
website where everybody can keep up with you.
Yes, you can follow me on Instagram, which is Mygani underscore LLC. And Mygani is right behind me, Mygani. This is also my website, Mygani.com. Feel free to follow me on there. Send me a DM if you have a question about anything, and I'd be more than happy to help you with, whatever it is if I'm able to.
Awesome. And I'll put it all in the description.